Question if it is truly over. Israel and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire after weeks of direct strikes, proxy attacks, and even U.S. intervention. But the question now is what comes next and how long before this powder keg could reignite. Joining us now, the former commander of U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, General Joseph Votel. He oversaw U.S. military operations across the Middle East and knows the dynamics at play better than most. General, thank you so much for being with us on I-24 News this evening.
Good to be with you.
Now, General, from a military standpoint, does this ceasefire make sense right now? Or did Israel have to stop short of some of its strategic goals in order to make this happen and even please the United States?
No, thanks. I think when you think about, I think about ceasefires. I mean, in almost every case that I've experienced or studied, ceasefires are in fact compromises between two or more sides to try to stop what is happening at the current time and move to a different medium to address the conflict. And I think that's what our president is trying to do here is to stop the military engagements that are taking place and move this conflict more to one that is based on discussions and hopefully negotiations at some particular point. So yeah, to your point, it's likely that both sides will be a little dissatisfied with where they are right now, but the idea is to move to another medium so that we can continue to move this in a more positive direction.
From someone who knows the region so well here in the Middle East, was there anything surprising to you about how this war was fought over the past 12 days, either in Israel's operations, Iran's response, or even America's intervention?
Yeah, I mean, somebody who was, involved in some of the planning and rehearsals and other things, for earlier iterations and anticipations that we might have to do this, it was quite surreal to watch this. I think the one thing that we learned with this, certainly I do, is that the element of surprise is always there. I think Israel's military operations to begin with were stunning in their scope and in their domination, and that certainly was impressive. I think we were surprised by the inability of the Iranians to mount an effective defense against, for their own country here. And of course, the lightning speed with which things moved so rapidly over the last 12 or 13 days, I think is significant. On Friday, I don't think many in the United States thought that within 24 hours that we would be dropping massive ordnance penetrators on Fort Dow, within 24 hours, and then of course, very quickly last evening to move into a ceasefire. So surprise has been the thing that is really I've taken note of here, and it's been the changing tempo of the conflict over the last 12 days.
Let's stay on this element of surprise because, as you mentioned, it caught a lot of Americans off guard looking at this U.S. intervention. And how unusual was Trump's move as far as the secrecy behind this? And could there be possibly any consequences for not going about the proper channels to get approval for a major military operation such as this one?
Well, there may be, and there will certainly be debates in the U.S. Congress and within the administration about this. But the War Powers Resolution does give the president the authority to take action. He has some responsibilities to consult, to inform, and then to seek approval from the Congress as it moves forward. So, but that's not new or peculiar to this situation. We've had it before with other administrations, and it is kind of a continuous debate here within the United States. So, but more to the point, I think I will tell you, I do think the administration, certainly the Department of Defense, executed with a high degree of precision here, and the skillful use of deception, the high focus on OPSEC, making sure that there was only a small amount of people who were read into the final plans on this, I think really gave our pilots and our military forces the best opportunity to complete the mission that they were assigned and do it in the very best manner that they could. So yeah, I know there's things that get traded off in all of this, But I think we're all very, very proud of the military performance of our men and women here who orchestrated this. But certainly there'll be some debates here back in my country about how this all unfolded.
It certainly is amazing to see the military successes, especially for the first time in operational history, dropping something like these massive bunker buster bombs. But I want to ask you, General Votel, you oversaw operations across this region. And so with this ceasefire in place, is Iran, in your opinion, likely to still retaliate in some indirect ways now, that being cyber, proxy attacks, even oil shipping lanes? Are these all things that the United States and Israel still needs to look out for?
Well, first of all, we should always remain vigilant. Iran has a lot of capabilities. They are a very savvy actor in the region, and while they have been diminished significantly over the last 12 days here, they still have capabilities that they can bring to bear. Whether they choose to do that or not, I think they do so at their own peril, knowing that there will be likely a very swift and decisive response to that. So I think we have to remain vigilant all the time on this. And of course, there are other actors out here who will try to take advantage of this. You know, we talk a lot about the capabilities of the Iranians, but we also have, terror groups across the region who will look for opportunities in all of this to exploit and move towards their own objectives. So we have to have a high degree of vigilance as we move through. It's good that we're moving into a different phase here, I think. But I don't think it completely lessens the threat to U.S. forces or Israeli forces or others across the region.
So, what's your assessment then on how this all ends, especially with Iran's nuclear ambitions unresolved at this point? Can you yourself envision a real long-term deterrence strategy or some sort of diplomacy as well? Or are we still in for some sort of a cycle of strikes and pauses like we have now?
Well, I think it's likely that we will, if we can avoid getting into more cycles of exchanging of strikes back and forth, that would certainly be good. I think we're likely in for a very lengthy negotiation process. The deep underlying issues at stake here are not those that can be resolved in a single meeting. It has to be done over time, and this will require patience. It will require the leadership in the United States and others in the region and perhaps globally to lend their support to all actors in this to kind of move the ball forward. So I think the end state here. I mean, I think the ideal one would be for Iran to renounce their their ideology against Israel and to move into a mode where they are much more integrated into the region, and they are much more, a part of all the countries of the region. I think that's obviously the long-term goal. I think getting there is going to take a little bit of work, and it's going to take a lot of work on the outside, but it's especially going to take a lot of work on the inside of Iran. I mean, they have to be taking a look at themselves here. What has been done to them? The loss of their whole network over the last 9 or 10 months, largely at the behest of the Israeli Defense Forces, and how they move forward here. So I think there's some deep introspection that has to take place there. But ultimately, there has to be a political discussion and a political resolution to this problem.
Former U.S. CENTCOM Commander General Joseph Votel, so great to hear your perspectives as you know the region so well. And let's hope your vision for the long term truly does stick. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, just before the ceasefire went into effect, Iran launched multiple